Hi folks, before I start the video today, I just want to say give a shout out to Crazy for Keyboard, as I pronounce this incorrectly as Thor keyboards, which Crazy for Keyboards, we were wondering for a while what a Thor keyboard was. So yeah, made a good job of that, didn't I? One other thing I want to mention before this video starts today is that my last video, for some reason YouTube decided that I wasn't going to be allowed any comments. So if you want to say something about my last video on here, go ahead, because I'm always interested in what people have got to say about what I post. So without further ado, let's get on with today's video. Today's video is going to be about domestic robots, and we're going to be talking about the 5 domestic robots that we've got. We're going to talk about what we think are maybe some misconceptions about domestic robots, and talk about how they do the job, because they do the job a bit differently than it will be done manually by a human. And we're going to rate these robots and say why we've given the rating we're going to give, and which we prefer and which we think could be improved upon. So the robots we're going to be talking about are the original Roomba that we had, our first robot, a Brava Jet, which is a floor mopping robot that we've had for several years. The more recent addition, Roomba, that we got last year. The window cleaning gecko robot that we got very recently, and our most recent addition, the robotic lawnmower. Okay, so the first thing I would like us to talk about, Paul, is some of what we believe are misconceptions that people have about domestic robotic appliances, and how they differ in the way that they perform a task. So we'll talk about the Roombas first, both Roombas. I've heard people say things like, I don't think they'll do a deep clean.
Right, yeah.
And I need to get my manual vacuum.
Every now and again, every few weeks or something like that.
So we don't think that's true, do we, Paul?
Well, all these robots are different. I know we're talking about the Roombas, but they're all different. Do the job differently than a human being would do. A human being tends to do something in less time with more power. Where these do something in very often a much longer time, but with a lot less power. Yes.
So in the case of the vacuum cleaners, because they're on so frequently, ours comes on every morning.
Day, yeah.
Dirt doesn't get a chance to penetrate into
if you're talking about a carpet, anything that falls on the carpet, like skin flakes or crumbs or something like that, yeah. So you don't need a really powerful vacuum cleaner like
to
a
pull
1,000-watt mower to pull it out. It performs adequately with its brushes and with its much more minor suction.
So we'll talk about the lawnmower next.
Yeah.
Now, again, the lawnmower's not powerful like a normal.
No, it's not. It's totally quiet. The motor is much less powerful than even, say, the cheapest fly mower. It's not a mains motor, it's a battery motor.
You can't even hear it.
You can't even hear it.
But this is doing the job in a completely different way.
It is, yeah. I mean, it's on for, the way we've got our set up, it's on for a couple of hours every other day. So every other day it completely mows the garden. And when I say it mows it, it's taking, this time of year, probably about 1 millimetre off of growth.
And the thing is, how it cuts it with the little blades, it's akin to somebody going out with a pair of scissors and snipping each blade of grass, isn't it?
It is in a way, yeah.
So it's a different way of mowing the garden.
And more effective, I would say.
And which way do you think is more effective?
Well, I think the quality of the cut is just the same as a normal lawnmower, unless you're talking about these lawnmowers that sort of roll it and leave a stripe on, if you like, that sort of thing. But it leaves the grass clippings on the surface of the grass, so it's a sort of mulching, and it helps keeps the weeds down. It's better for the garden because you're not taking it away. You're not taking heaps of grass clippings away.
Yeah, the goodness away.
In the waste.
Another thing I've noticed is sometimes if you leave a lawn quite long and then cut it, it can be all brown.
Yeah, whereas this is cutting every day or every other day. It looks
exactly the same all the time. Your lawn doesn't alter.
Once it's settled down after the first few cuts, it just tends to look the same, as though the grass is not going, almost as though, I think you said, it looks like artificial turf, because it just doesn't change.
So what we would say is minor sort of negative aspect of these cleaners, the way they do a job, is they don't tend to get into corners.
No, even with the side brushes, they don't really clean the corners.
And the window cleaner doesn't do the corners of the windows.
No, because it's got a round disc, you can't get into the corners.
I think the one thing that does get in the corner is the Brava Jet.
Oh, the Brava, yeah, because the pads are square and the way it cleans, so that does get into the corners. Yeah.
Lawnmower, it's the edges of the lawn, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a boundary wire all the way around, so you're going to end up with a strip of grass all the way around the edge, which isn't going to get cut. How much of a problem that is to you, I don't know. To me, it's no problem at all. Same with these cleaners.
Yeah, I just think to myself, it's
they're doing 99% of the work.
Exactly. Yeah, they're doing most of the tasks. So the next thing we're going to talk about is what we think is a real problem of some domestic robots.
Yeah.
Now, the ones that we've had. The problem we've had is not how they perform the job. They do the job really well.
Yeah.
It's when it involves.
Yeah, it's like the concept of involvement.
Yeah.
Has arisen since we've had these robots.
So, this Roomba has no involvement.
Yeah. How much does it involve us?
We don't have to set it up or anything. It just comes on every morning at the time it's set to.
Cleans the floor, empties the dust into its collection tower, and goes back to base and charges up. Doesn't involve us at all.
No. And the robotic mower again doesn't involve
no
us.
Involvement at all. There's a weekly maintenance of turning it upside down, I think, and they say brushing the grass out and maybe changing the blades every 7 weeks or something like that.
But it's minor.
It's general day-to-day cutting. It just doesn't involve us.
Yeah. So, and the marks we're going to give these is based on that.
It is really, because I think that for us it's turned out to be the most important thing.
We decided before I started filming today what we would award each of these robots, and the new Roomba
marks out of 10.
Yeah, and the Flymo robotic lawnmower, give both of those 10 out of 10.
Yeah, it takes the job completely out of your hands and it does an adequate job. It just takes the job away from you. I mean, that's it. It's as simple as that.
Whereas the old Roomba did involve us.
It doesn't self-empty. You've got to empty it every time it's filled up.
So the old Roomba doesn't self-empty, so you've got to empty the bin. And it also was more likely to get stuck.
Yeah, it didn't seem as smart. And another issue was the different type of rollers on it. There were brush on the old Roomba. Yeah. And they would get clogged up with hairs.
Yeah, and it would take quite a long time to clean the brushes. So for that reason, we give this one a 7.
Still wouldn't be without it, but we give it a 7.
The Brava Jet.
You've got to fill it with water, put it down, make sure the battery's charged up, turn it on, and it mops the floor. Then you've got to take the old pad off and put a new one on if it wants another mopping. Yeah,
so there's more involvement.
More involvement, but it is a different task. It's floor mopping. I was originally going to give it a 7, but I have used it today several times because we've been going in and out
Yeah.
of the garden. It's left like bits of mud on the kitchen and the utility room. So I was going to give it. I'm going to give it an 8.
Right. Now the one that's left is a window cleaner, and I would say out of all our appliances,
yeah, it's the most involving.
Yes, this is what we've been, I think, disappointed with, really.
Yeah.
Because it's such a mither
To set it up.
And put the harness
Yeah.
up so it doesn't fall off. That we don't tend to use it, do we?
No, we were initially bowled over by the way it stuck to the window and the way it moved, and it did a reasonable job on the window. But because of the involvement aspect, the length of the power cable, you've got to trail it out and set it up. The harness, safety harness you've got to put on in case it drops off, and it did drop off once as well. We've just not used it. Now we are enthusiastic. We are robot enthusiasts, aren't we?
We are.
And I still wouldn't be without that without the window cleaner, I don't think, even though we've not used it a lot yet. But I wouldn't recommend it to anybody else unless you are an enthusiast.
Yeah, I think we would give that a 5.
A 5, yeah.
Yeah. So that's our opinion of these robotic domestic appliances. Hope you've found that it's useful to some extent.
Or funny.
And thanks for watching as always, folks, and see you next time.